Tell me, what use is there in this day and age for such a
what?
Such a know-it-all? All you're good for is sitting in a tavern with other know-it-alls, bemoaning your station. But devil a thing do you do about it. You can't do an honest job. You're of no use to life. Too delicate to stand the smell of manure.
While the likes of you sleep in it. And I studied so I wouldn't have to do such menial labor as you. You...
What?
You shit grubber!
Better to have shit in a stable than in your head. Those books of yours are of no use in the real world of ordinary people.
And indeed they have no place there. The only use you have for paper is to wipe your arse. Books belong in the hands of your betters. Only a pitchfork belongs in yours.
You lazy wretch. You're full of talk, and yet you haven't 2 groschen to rub together.
You should talk. All you have is what falls from your master's table.
Ha! Look at you, thin as a rake from never having a decent meal, and still bloated from nothing but pride.
At least I can read and write and think for myself.
And what use is that to you? To sit bare-assed in the cold and read?
You pile of manure. Should I muck out stables like you? Is that what you call an honorable profession? Even the horses are more fragrant than you.
Honest work doesn't stink, you good-for-nothing.
Perhaps not, but you stink to high heaven. And tell me, what can a peasant like you know of God?
I know what the priest told me, and what do you know?
And what if the priest lies? What if the scriptures say something different? How would you know when you can only listen to what you're told like a sheep?
It's enough for ordinary people to listen, and they're fine. But you and your ilk make only trouble. Someone ought to put paid to you, and we'd have peace at last.
Like I say, you're like a wretched sheep that will go where it's told, even to the slaughter. And of God and the world you know nothing.
When has reading ever filled anyone's belly, eh? I feed a whole family with these 2 hands, while yours are only good for pulling your own cock.
What are you 2 quarrelling about here, for the love of God?
This pipsqueak here claims studying is as hard a job as working in the stables.
I most certainly did not, because study is of course much harder work than mucking out a bit of horse manure.
See? That's what I'm talking about, and yet it's as clear as day.
Hang on, what's as clear as day?
That study is as hard as mucking out stables, if not harder.
A man who doesn't work with his hands is an idler, and a good-for-nothing. Am I wrong?
I'd like to ask you a couple of questions before answering. You're a scholar. What are you doing in Skalitz?
I'm on my way to Sassau with letters. This ingrate here is stabling my horse overnight before I continue my journey.
What does your work involve, student?
I'm no student, but a baccalaureus, having completed the trivium of the Faculty of Liberal Arts in the University of Prague. Grammar, rhetoric, and dialectics are my work, while this yokel wouldn't be capable even of learning Latin. Father arranged that I will serve as a teacher in Kuttenberg for 2 years before returning to the university to attend the quadrivium. To teach and be taught, that is real work.
You serve Sir Radzig at the castle, don't you, Master Groom?
Aye, and Sir Radzig is very pleased with my work. I can be rightly proud of what I do, and I bring home a nice wage too. The children are fed, and the wife can buy herself a nice scarf from time to time. I'm satisfied with my lot. How many people can say that?
What's so hard about your job, Master Groom?
That's real work. Not like this parasite here does. On my feet from dawn till dusk, feeding, mucking out, grooming. By evening, I'm dead on my feet. I'm doing something real, see? Something that makes sense. Horses are needed for work, for the lords, for riding out, even in times of war. And someone has to care for those horses. All this good-for-nothing can do is mouth off, but he'd never be able to do a real job.
That's all I need to know. The groom is right. Study is certainly a noble thing, but it isn't really work. That's obvious.
I might have known an ignorant village wench would take the side of a dung grubber. Pah!
Don't pay any attention to that beggar, lass. I'm glad we both see things the same way. A burst lip is what he needs to put a stop to his stuck-up nonsense.